And awesome. So we're live. Welcome everyone to our Christina Aguilera class intensive discussion for week 2. My name's Hillary. I work at MasterClass, and I'm super excited to kind of facilitate this discussion. We have some great co-hosts. Do you guys want to kind of just go around and introduce yourselves quickly? Alma, do you want to start?
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Alma Allen. I'm a mother of twins who loves to sing and do songwriting, plus teaching kids, some voice lessons. And I'm so happy to be here in MasterClass all the time.
Awesome. Brian, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah. I'm Brian. I've been singing, the majority of my life. I play music all the time. I can't get enough of it, so that's why I'm here. I can't get enough.
Awesome. Welcome. You want to introduce yourself, Mariam?
Yes. Hi, guys.
Mariam?
I'm Mariam, actually, by my stage name. I'm a composer, producer, and a singer-songwriter. I'm living in Los Angeles right now, but I'm Persian ethnically, and I like to mix genres of jazz music with ethnic Persian singing.
Awesome. Super interesting. Well, cool. Thank you guys for being so willing to co-host. Let's just get started with our lessons. So this week we covered lessons 5 through 8 of Christina's MasterClass. And we had a couple of assignments, which we'll get to at the end. For anyone watching, you can find the discussion topics in the Facebook student group. And definitely put in questions or input or your opinion into the chat room alongside of it, which is also in the Facebook student group. And I will weave it in as we go. So our first kind of discussion topic is on lesson 5, which is range. And Christina talks about finding her comfort zone, finding everyone's comfort zone in their voice, and then kind of working from there to build your range. So in this lesson, there's also that range finder tool. I'd love to hear if you guys used it and how you're working to expand your range. Anyone can start.
The tool actually wasn't working for me from the computer, but I feel like there's so many other things, other like applications on iPhone or Mac, or like a lot of books that you can kind of use to help better with your warm-up. There's this application that I've been using for years. It's called Vocal Warm-Up, and I actually bought it, so I'm not sure the free version of it, how much it has, but it has like more than an hour of warm-up, and it's very professional in a sense, because I actually studied jazz voice in college, and it's like completely everything that we learned in like 1 hour recording. So it's really cool because you can actually you can use it on the go, because you can plug in it and it just gonna play the piano, and it actually has a description of, okay, we suggest you use this vowel and this exercise, and you can kind of just use it in the car or wherever. So I kind of like to do the warm-ups with that. But the Christina one also worked. It's just that it could be a little confusing for people that haven't used it before to know how to warm up, because you can actually ruin your voice by warming up correctly,
Yeah.
Awesome. With me, the range finder really worked. At first, I had a hard time. I remember that I sent you a message, Hillary. But then maybe this could help you, Mariam, because I have already the Google Chrome on my computer. And when I cannot open the rangefinder, I tried to download again another Google Chrome. Maybe the other one that's already in my computer is not updated. That's why it wasn't working. But then as soon as I have downloaded a new one and replaced the old one, it worked. And I found out that my range is 3.3 octave, which is a little bit above average, and I'm so happy about that. And
nice.
And yeah, I've been able to download the vocal warm-up exercises, and it was suggested that I have to use it for 3 times a week, and I'm trying all my best to do that. Because on top of that, I have also my old vocalization CD that I acquired when I was in high school, and it's a vocalization for beginners and advanced students, and I love using that too. So that's an additional one, and I love using all of those. Yes.
Awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, I found that my range was 4 octaves, but the entire thing didn't sound that fantastic. The high notes were pretty terrible, and the lower notes were terrible. And then I get the warm up, and it's 15 minutes long since my range is 4 octaves, so it's really, really good practice for me. And it's the very first warm up I've ever had, and I think that it's working for me really well.
Cool.
The lessons on relaxing and letting go of your throat and stuff like that, it's helped me a lot.
Awesome. Are there any other kind of like exercises or practice or things that you do to kind of make your range a little higher, a little lower, make it the whole range a little bit nicer sounding? Do you guys have any tips or tricks on that?
I think a lot of it also comes from song to song. It's different. And the words, there are certain words that actually start with a, like the consonant B. It just starts kind of weird. So if you have a song that you're practicing that has a lot of that, or weird vowels, or has a lot of oohs in it, you want to maybe warm up practicing those vowels more, because like you're warming up basically to perform. So you can just kind of like do your warm-up accordingly based on what you're performing and what you're singing and the words that are troubling you on it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We have a couple people chatting in the chat room. JB says, okay, not going to lie, I've used the rangefinder to determine my range, but didn't use it to isolate a comfort zone yet. They also say, I do find I have 2 different comfort zones in general, though. One for brassy or bold songs, and then another for softer songs. And Miss Naomi NYC says, my range is 2.6 on a good day. I've been using the warm-up 4 to 5 times a week, which is awesome. I really love it. I'm more comfortable in the middle, but all I can do is keep practicing and taking care of my voice. That's a really good point. Do you guys find that doing a warm-up kind of on a regular basis helps strengthen that range, or does it kind of wear and tear on your voice?
No, it definitely helps a lot. It depends on how long you do the warm-up for. This warm-up app that I use a lot is like a 1 hour or more. So if I actually do all of it, I'm basically taking away from my performance time, because like every concert is like 2-hour concert or 1 hour concert, and when you're warming up for an hour, it's like you're kind of losing a lot of energy over that. But I think maybe like doing 20 minutes every day, because your vocal cords are kind of a muscle, and they say that when you're working out, at least 20 minutes a day should be happening. So I think vocally you should also do 20 minutes a day.
Absolutely. Brian or Alma, do you guys have anything to add?
Brian first.
Just before I warm up, it's like I take really long, big breaths, and I let out the long S sound, and that just helps like prepare my body for breathing during a performance. And then yawning to make sure that my throat is relaxing and opening up, and that's pretty much all I would have to add to what.
Well,
oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Alma.
Okay, sorry. Okay, for me, I love doing the vocal exercises every morning, and I limit myself for like 30 minutes before I practice a lot of songs that I love. But I do also the moving technique. I go out in my out of my music room and do it in our backyard, because I want to breathe some fresh air in the morning. And if I move, I burn a lot of my energy. So it lasts only for 20 minutes.
I have a couple other people chatting in the chat room. Diva22 says, their range is 3.1 octaves, A2 to A5. And they also say that they're utilizing their personalized vocal warm-up as of right now. I also do what Christina says and sing along with my favorite songs. I feel like the top of my range has serious pitch problems and would like to know how to better fine-tune my ear. And Miss Naomi says, I notice if I don't get good rest the night before, I have more trouble hitting the notes higher in my range. Then we have a couple questions about finding your comfort zone and working on expanding one's range. Johnny Gerald says, I think that I overthink my singing when I'm doing it for a crowd versus at home alone. Not sure how to get over that. So do you guys have any input on, like, does your comfort zone change depending on where you're singing and who you're singing with?
I think the minute you kind of think outside of the song, you're kind of losing the song. And it's cliche, but I actually, during a certain period of time, I was actually suffering from a lot of stage fright, and I was very aware of my surroundings whenever I was on stage. And I had the stage fright was crazy, but what I realized was that I wasn't really comfortable with the band that I was going on. Because later on I actually happened to recast everybody in that band, and then I realized that I don't have any stage fright anymore. It's just it all comes from the trust that you have on yourself and your band members. And when you have the right chemistry, you kind of forget about people judging you, because the minute you go on stage and think that you're alone and that everybody's kind of observing you, then you're really aware of what's happening, and you're actually kind of coming from a weaker standpoint in a way. So yeah, I would just say not even think about people existing around you. I mean, people that come and watch you, they want to enjoy their time. They actually don't want to see you fail. So I think it would be helpful to just keep that in mind. Everybody wants you to succeed. Even if it's just for their own ears, they want you to sound good. So yeah, I would just say not worry about people at all. Just sing the song.
Do you guys have anything to add? I certainly, I don't sing very well, but I certainly get stage fright. So there's a lot of lessons that Christina had about kind of just focusing on what you're doing and keeping your mind in the right place. That's valuable for, public speaking or anything like that. But stage fright is so real.
Yeah, I'm teaching voice lessons for kids, and I have encountered a lot of them that are really afraid of singing in front of a lot of people, or even just holding a microphone at the very beginning. But I keep on explaining to them that singing should be enjoyable, and every performance will give you either excitement or anxiety. So you just have to pick which one would you like to get. If you're gonna be excited or if you're gonna, die of anxiety, then it's not worth it. And they keep on asking me how they're going to cure that stage fright. I always tell that nervousness or being frightened will always be there because it's already part of our body system. That's why we have nerves, right? Yeah. So if we don't feel nervous, we're dead already. Even professional. Yes, that's true. Because I'm also in the dental field, and we tackle that in anatomy and all that. So I can really relate. So it's like, well, if you're gonna be not nervous, then it's not normal. Even professionals get nervous if they don't practice before they perform. They do a lot of practicing before they show up, in a concert, right? So it's normal. It's normal. You just have to learn how to control it, and just think of the positive things. Look on the brighter side of life and believe in yourself. So yeah, and it takes a lot of time also for somebody to practice that. There are some that are so gifted, and it's just in their nature to just not shy at all. Yeah, but very seldom of them that I have encountered in teaching for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alma, as a vocal teacher, we have a couple people in the chat room asking for some exercises or advice on how to expand their range or how to expand their vocal comfort zone. So when someone comes into your classroom and asks you that question, what do you tell them?
Well, they have to really practice. And for me, when I was young, I'm having a hard time to reach high notes. And I have some couple of teachers who teach me how to do the right way. And the basic point here is to know what are the two kinds of voice. Do you have any idea? Okay. The two kinds of voice is the natural voice and the artificial voice. Okay, what is natural voice? The natural voice is this, the one that we're using when we're talking. It should be like easy for us because we always talk every day, right? But the artificial voice or fake voice or falsetto is something that we need to build up in time through practice. And those vocal warm-up exercises will help you to be able to get there. And personally, I love giving myself a hard time. If I cannot hit the high notes, I really squeeze my tummy like that. You have seen my videos. I keep on singing, sitting in sitting position because I get used to that. Because the power should comes from our abdomen because that's where the diaphragm is located. So, and the diaphragm plays a major role in our breathing. As it contracts, it increases the volume of the thorax. That is yeah, that is the part of our body in between our neck and the abdomen, and it inflates our lungs. So if we have the power coming from our diaphragm, then it will be easy for us to sing, whether you're using natural or falsetto.
Awesome,
I
thank
hope
you.
I did it really well.
We have, or go ahead, Ad.
Going back to the stage fright thing, I just wanted to say something that has been really working well for me is being in the audience's point of view before going on stage. So if there's an act going before me, I sit and watch it and just kind of feel the energy that is in the audience. And then so when I go on stage, it really doesn't feel that different because you're in the same room, literally maybe less than a feet away from the first front row. Um, so yeah, I think that kind of like makes you feel like you're more than one of them rather than you're in front of them. I would maybe suggest that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's a great point. Kind of integrating yourself into the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have one more to share.
Yeah.
Okay. Aside from warming up your vocals, have also an ear training, every day. You just have to sit down, relax, close your eyes, and listen to the vocal warm-up exercises without singing, just by listening. Because we have to train also our ears. That's why we're getting pitchy sometimes, because our ears are not trained. So I hope.
We do have another question that I think is really interesting in the chat room. Diva22 says, my question would be, what type of exercises would be good for improving the fullness of the higher notes so they don't sound thin? And is that dealing more with breath support? So any of you guys have any experience with trying to build out your higher range? That would be great advice.
I think for me, I'm actually an alto myself, so getting like super high and was kind of different for me. The tone that I was getting wasn't really my favorite tone. Um, so I would say a lot of it comes from breathing and a lot of it comes from singing from your gut as well. It also depends on what tone you want to sing that high note in. Because if you want to sing it falsetto, then you probably have less of a problem in your gut, but it's more about breathing well and kind of focusing on it so it doesn't become pitchy.
Mhm.
If you're singing chest voice and you want to hit really high, then that would require more technique and more warm up and a lot more work on it, depending on how high you want to go and what texture you want to use. I listen to Christina all the time, how she kind of has this growling thing in her voice when she's doing the high notes, and she's just really, really grounded when she's hitting the high notes. So just focusing on those notes and not scaring away from them, I think would help.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So we'll move on to our next question here for lesson 6 on pop style. Um, with your guys' experience in performing and working with music and things like that, do you feel like you've found your own personal style? And have you used that to build out your song list that you perform?
Yes. I just basically listen to as many types of music as I possibly can. I find a lot of things very inspiring. Um, opera singers can just sing these crazy high notes or low notes and just really belt it out, and then rock singers and blues singers, and I just try to focus on how they're accomplishing these things, and like Christina's saying, really listen to how they're doing that, and I think that's passed along a lot of my style. Um, yeah, so just listen to music and absorb it.
What would you describe your own style as?
Rock, bluesy, kind of, I guess. I don't know.
Do you play any instruments like while you're singing?
Yeah, I play guitar and piano while I sing, and that just adds a whole nother level of concentration that you gotta really practice, and it takes a lot of practice, and that's basically, you know, what it all comes down to. Everything in life, it's practice.
Absolutely. Do either of you guys have feel like you have your own personal singing style?
It's more for me as a composer, it's more of a musical style. I think as far as voice goes, you can totally change every year, like and go listen back and you're like a different person. And I think that's a good thing because the more you practice and the more you get inspired, the more you find content that you want to get inspired by or sound like. So you can kind of change. But for me, like I said, I grew up in the Middle East, just totally immersed in a different culture. And I am an Iranian American, so my American side is totally into rock and soul and jazz and things like that. So I've been trying to like meet them in the middle and do a mixture of soul fusion. And I always advertise my music as soul fusion with a spice of Persian. So it doesn't really have a
Wow.
category,
That's
but yeah.
Wow, how interesting. How is that like a tagline you've used before? How did you whittle it down to that?
um, it's kind of actually it kind of came from the audience. It also came from my background. I studied Persian music, but I also studied jazz very intensively in college, and I'm also really into every genre of music and rock and soul and everything. And so every song that I write, like my album is just completely different, different vibe from song to song. And I just kind of realized that okay, it kind of has an instrumentation of a jazz band with some added rock instruments and like Persian feel to it. So I just thought, okay, you know what? It has a spice of Persian and fusion of everything. I actually still can't really categorize it. Like when you want to submit your music to competitions and stuff like that, I still can't really figure out which category I need to send it to. I think, yeah, it's kind of just its own thing.
Do you ever feel, this is really interesting, do you ever feel kind of like pressure to commit to one genre or anything like that?
Um, no, other than the whole submitting fiesta, no. I actually don't really want to be in one genre because I feel like what really makes it special and what really has been the main reason for my success in music is just like mixing all these different worlds together and like having it have all these different perspectives. And actually, people are really digging that whole, being different kind of thing because I feel like the music industry is so filled with just one sound these days that's like the independent the independent music is now coming up, and people are actually really digging the independent sound because people are actually coming from different parts of the world and have their own stories, their own influences. So yeah, no, I don't ever want to be in one category.
Cool. Alma, do you feel like you have kind of your own personal singing style or music style?
Yeah, actually, I started with classical singing. My mom is my best critic. She always told me that my voice is fitted into that. But then as I was growing up, my interest, becomes different. And actually, I want to pick songs that I, understand the lyrics of it. And especially if I could somewhat relate it to my past experiences, that's how I, feel comfortable in choosing that song. I love soul music because I found the truth in those songs.
Absolutely. I'm going to weave in some of the chat room right now. JB, in response to this question, goes, just by singing songs I like and finding what's good for my range or what's within my comfort zone. And then a couple people talking about their vocal range, things like that. Miss Naomi NYC said, my mother would listen to old school jazz, soul, R&B. It's been my style since the womb. I have difficulty with my song list because I'm really attracted to male point of view songs, but I love the greats. Mariah, Whitney, and Anita Baker. Excuse me. Sorry. Johnny Gerald also says, for some reason I find that jazz songs by female artists are my go-to songs. I joined this class to try to set out my comfort zone and attempt different genres. I can definitely kill a Broadway song, but when it comes to pop music and even ballads, I sound too rehearsed, I think. And I keep switching between the two. Oh, sorry. I'm just reading some other chatter. Cool. Thank you guys for contributing that. We can move on to our next question here with Simplify. And Christina talks a lot about recording the song Beautiful and how that challenged her and taught her about how powerful simplicity can be. And she's pretty honest about how uncomfortable she was when recording that. So what are some ways that you guys add emotion to your vocals?
I think just actually going by the lyrics and what the song really is rather than trying to make it about you. And I think it could be really easy, especially if you're the main artist of the project, it's your band or you're the vocalist, you're kind of the center of attention. It's really easy to make everything about you and, it's your album and you want to kind of show off. It's easy to sacrifice the music for that, but I think just really be honest to the song, and if the song isn't really needing your ad libs and all the crazy showing off things, then just don't go for it. Really, just I feel like that's so much more successful because what comes to people is really the song. I don't think they really care about hearing someone show off. Actually, it's kind of offensive if I hear a song that's supposed to be, vulnerable, and then it's just sung in this way of, oh, I can sing and can hit high notes and I can do this and this and this. I would be really offensive as the audience member. So I would just say, yeah, just be honest and do what's right for the song, for the composition of it.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. Have you ever taken a song and stripped everything away, and maybe a song that has a lot of runs and belts, and simplified it and see what happened?
Yes.
I think I've done the opposite.
Alma, what song did you do that with?
Oh, the song of Jennifer Holliday, I Am Changing. I have seen a lot of singers, doing it in a lot of stylizing way, doing a lot of ad libs in technical, things. And sometimes the truthfulness of the song is being overshadowed with all of that. And I really, really love the lyrics of that song. So I just simplify it. Until now, I'm practicing and hopefully I could put the video on the masterclass.
Awesome. Brian, have you ever kind of like changed up a song like that before?
No, honestly, I haven't. I mostly spent a lot of time on my own music because I basically played by myself for so many years, and I'm trying to break out of that. And so, yeah, I chose a new song for the master class. After you posted the topics or the assignments that we were supposed to do, so I chose "Lean on Me." And so, yeah, I'm trying to simplify the song and take my own meaning to it.
Awesome. Awesome. So what are some ways that say you're doing a cover to a song or you're singing an original song, how do you kind of add emotion or add engagement with the audience to the song?
I remember when Christina said that passion and drive is 100%. Yeah, it all starts with passion. And she even said that pain, in life can make us a better performer. And for me, growing up in the Philippines, where poverty is really rampant, and I have seen a lot of people that are in pain and all that, and that made me mature um, faster, you know. And those things that I have encountered are giving me strength to put on some expression. Um, and yeah, I mean, if singing is like painting a picture, just like what Brian said, then feelings are the colors that you add to the picture you make. So yeah, it's good for the soul, and that's what gives the listener some goosebumps. And the singer is good at it.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you pick the songs that you actually love the meaning of, then you can definitely connect better yourself, and hence you can connect better with the audience. The mistakes I've made in the past, there were a couple of times that I picked a couple of songs that I thought were really good showing up kind of songs, or they were just fun, but I didn't really connect to the meaning of the song or even the lyrics itself that much. And when I look back at the videos, it's totally obvious that I'm not connected to the song. It's supposed to be a sad song. I'm just like happy, singing it super loud. It's so inappropriate. So I just feel like really look into the lyrics and what the song is trying to say, and as long as you really understand that, then you're gonna sing it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very true.
Absolutely. And I feel like it's pretty hard to fake an emotion with a song, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it's more, sometimes you pick songs that you're totally focusing on something not at all about the song. I think there was a showcase that I did that was really about, showcasing your vocal talent, but I just picked the song that had a ton of high notes, and that made it extremely awkward because I was totally disconnected from the song and just like focused on hitting the notes after each other, and it was just an absolute disaster. But there were a lot of people that were doing much softer, more simpler songs on that showcase that were a lot more successful because they really connected to the lyrics itself.
Absolutely. And if any of you write your own music, do you find that there is a big difference between like singing your own songs that you composed or you wrote and then singing a cover song?
Yeah.
Totally, yeah, definitely. I actually like to rearrange, like when I'm doing cover songs, I like to rearrange them in my own style to connect with it even more. Um, so that has really changed the way I look at certain songs. But I just feel like a whole new perspective comes from the original songs. Just because you have a story behind it, and you can connect with the audience more. You can kind of tell them, okay, this is the story. I wrote it about this guy, and he was a douchebag. Blah, blah, blah. You can just make it more personal rather than the cover songs. I think when it comes to cover songs, it's just interesting for people to see what you did with that cover song because they have probably listened to the original one. and the catch is hearing it coming from a different person in a different style. But yeah, I definitely like originals better.
Me too. Yeah, it seems like when I'm writing my own music, it's really easy to, this is where I want my emotion to lie. But when I'm trying to choose a cover song, it's like, is this true for me? Really, is this true for me? Or am I just faking it right now? So if I don't feel the emotion right away on a song, I'm not going to even attempt it. It doesn't make sense to me. So if I'm not relating, then I just skip on to the next song.
Awesome. Kind of tying in some chatter in the chat room. I know a couple people are confused about the YouTube video in the chat room, so the idea is to watch the YouTube video. It will be saved for later if you ever want to come back and watch it again, and to chat alongside in the chat room. And if anyone's interested in helping host these in the future, please do let me know. Sorry for any confusion there. And Miss Naomi NYC says, simplicity is difficult because ego gets in the way, or the worry of making sure you're on key or it sounds good. I like the run a little, change tones, work on being okay with imperfections. Oops. Awesome. So, do you guys have anything else to add for that question?
No, that's totally right. That's totally the point I was saying before. It's just ego can totally kill the music, and I see it happen every time I have a gig. I see people going on stage and just doing the most horrifying things to show off, and it makes everything awkward because the audience, they're not little kids. I mean, they understand what you're doing, and it's just not going to sit well.
And Johnny adds that he says, I agree, Miss Naomi, nothing sounds worse than an off note that you back away from because you know it's off. He just belted confidently like you did on purpose sometimes. Turns out to be a cool deviation from what people expect. And Brian, I think you just typed this for me, an off note is horrible. That's why I mainly have not posted a video yet, trying to get your full voice back. Cool. So let's move on to the next question here for rock style. In her lesson, Christina references Jack White and Alanis Morissette as singers with soulful and gritty vocals. Do you guys have any other artists that stand out to you as kind of a rock style?
I have a list.
Awesome.
Bill Withers, he did Lean on Me. Jimi Hendrix, Ray Charles, the Alabama Shakes lead singer, Brittany Howard. She's amazing. Michael Jackson, James Brown, Leon Bridges, Otis Redding. Yeah, there's a ton of people out there that sing really, really gritty, and they just blow my mind, and they're really raw, like, we're trying to accomplish here, and I love them. Yeah, good people.
Yeah, what parts of their voice really stand out to you and, like, kind of grab you? Because I feel the same way, so I'd love to hear why you think that they're so engaging.
Just how they're like, singing all peacefully, and then it comes into a part that means a lot to them. They're like, ah, and then they kind of like roar it out of themselves, and yeah, it's really cool to hear them. They're not trying to make sound like music. They're just trying to make emotion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are rock bands like the Cranberries that are my favorite, and the lead singer doesn't really sound like a typical rock singer, but it's just there's so much tone and emotion in the way she sings. She doesn't really growl like the other ones, but yeah, I would just say the Cranberries also another good band to listen to.
Yeah, I like the Cranberries a lot too. I actually saw the Alabama Shakes a couple weeks ago, and Brittany, the lead singer, just totally blew my mind. She has so much soul, and she's just like, it's incredible. It's hard to describe sometimes. And Miss Naomi says, so many, soul music. Alma, do you have any other artists that stand out to you like this?
For me, I think it is Pink. Yeah, she's noted for having a strong signature voice, and has also received acclaim for her raw, gritty, soulful voice and her ability to emote. I like her a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think part of, correct me if I'm wrong, but part of that is like people with these really gritty and soulful voices. They might not have like perfect pitch or perfect tone or hit all the notes 100% at all times, but they kind of sacrifice that for the soul that they put into it.
I noticed myself doing that during my performances, and it's just I kind of lose myself. I kind of black out almost, and it's just I let it all out, and then when I'm done, I'm like, oh, I'm back. I can see the audience again, and yeah, it's really fun.
That's so much better than what this is.
Miriam, I think you're a little frozen. Is she frozen for you guys?
Yeah.
Yes, she is.
Uh-oh. When she comes back, Miriam, you're a little frozen, so when you come back,
Oh,
okay, now we can
am
hear
I good
you.
now? Okay. So
Yes,
I
you
was just
are.
saying that I was saying that when you look back into like the 80s and 90s and their music is really raw and really real, and you can actually hear their mistakes, and their voice is pitchy sometimes, but it's really worth it, and it's nothing compared to it's not even compared to today's machine. There's no problems in the music. There's no they never make any mistakes because everything is super edited and super produced, and it just kind of kills the music in a way. It's not alive anymore or real anymore. So yeah, I would totally say the soul definitely should come first, and then the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a couple people saying Johnny Jarrell would add Christina Perri to that list of people. Enlightened by Bravery says, I love Katy Perry, not so gritty. I can hear the soul. What she sings is just so empowering and believable. And then I know a couple people are still confused about kind of the format of this chat. So we have this Google Hangout with just the four of us in here talking through the same discussion questions as I posted on the Facebook group and that we're discussing in the chat room here. And so the chat room is just for watching this Google Hangout and kind of giving your input, and I'll kind of weave in your questions as we go on. So apologies for any confusion, but yeah, the way I usually have it on my screen is YouTube video on the left and then chat room on the right, and I kind of just go back and forth between the two. Yeah. Another person I would add to this list of gritty, soulful singers is Janis Joplin.
Oh yes, totally.
Yeah, just incredible, just gritty. It sounds like she has gravel in her throat sometimes.
Honestly, I tried to cover one of her songs when I was like years ago, and I tried to copy her exactly, and I lost my voice doing that just because she's so just in it. It's just like, oh my God, she has kind of that like unique texture that I feel like only she has it, or like just a few people, and I don't know if that's safe to try to totally copy.
hmm Yeah, I don't know if it's safe either. Well, cool. I know, or someone wanted me to incorporate this question. Julie asked me to incorporate this question. She has a cold right now, and it's making it really hard for her to sing. And so, do you guys have any experience with kind of like working through sickness or working through exhaustion or anything like that? Any advice?
Take it easy. Use your essential oils. Yeah, exactly.
Rest.
Rest. Do
Yeah,
you guys
don't
drink
really
any
work that
teas?
much during that. I feel like you can totally. It happened to me one time that I was singing throughout my sickness, and then one morning the phone rang. I woke up and responded to the phone, and I just couldn't hear myself. And I was like saying hello, and my voice was completely gone. So it's totally worth it to rest, and then you get better after 2 days, and you can sing. But if you lose your voice during that time, then you can like be off for like a couple of weeks, and it could be really dreadful. Just rest and drink a lot of water and tea and lemon, that stuff.
hmm Yeah, I know a lot of people drink like crazy tea drinks or have throat spray or anything like that. Do any of you use any kind of special concoctions?
I really
Yes.
like this brand of tea. Did you guys hear about Yogi? It's called Yogi, I think, and it's called Vocal Coat or Throat Coat. There's just like specifically for singers. I think you can find it in Target or something
What's the
or
brand?
online. But it's no, well the brand is one of the brands that I use a lot is yogi tea. I'm not sure where else you can find it. But when yogi tea has like a lot of purpose teas, and one of them is a throat coat, which is for your
Hmm.
throat and for your vocal cords. So that is one of my favorites to try.
Absolutely. We have a couple people adding to soulful, gritty singers. Brian says Whitney Houston and Tony Braxton, and for him, sometimes it's hard to find a guy singer to sort of grab onto for a wide vocal range. He's used to singing pop and old school. Enlightened by Bravery adds Louis Armstrong. He has some grit and soul, which I totally agree. JB says, so a question about gritty singing. Celine Dion isn't really gritty in general, but she does a wonderful blues song, The Woman in Me, that is all grit. One of my vocal coaches says she's going to ruin her voice doing that. Do you guys have any thoughts or input on maybe being not a gritty singer, but singing gritty songs that might really stretch or kind of tarnish your vocal cords?
I think there's techniques specifically for singing growling, greedy stuff. And if you go based on the techniques, you probably wouldn't hurt your voice as much. I haven't been really into, I mean, I used to be really into rock singing. That's when I used to do the techniques for that, they have like their own warm-ups. There was this warm up that my teacher gave me, and it was just like you do you jump up and down and you just like growl out the letters like A B C D. It's like it's really crazy. I'm gonna try and do it, but don't get scared. It's like A B, like you kind of just like scream it out, and you do it as you're doing a physical activity. So it's I'm not sure how that's affecting your body, but in a sense, that's kind of warming up your body for your rock performance. So I would suggest that, but I think there should be a warm up for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Brian also adds, my influences are Dean Martin, John Denver, and Richard Max. As of trying to sing gritty songs, I say find songs in your own range. You just have to keep searching. It's a long process. Johnny Gerald says a song by Chrisette Michelle called Blame It On Me, who rocks his world lately. Very soulful and gritty and wonderfully raw. We should all really check it out, definitely. That sounds like a very interesting song. Cool. So let's move on to our assignment review. I know I tasked all of you with choosing a song that you're going to get really intimate with throughout the class intensive. So what was kind of your process of choosing the song, and what made that process difficult or easy, and what made you ultimately choose the song that you're going to work with? Brian, did you end up choosing a song? I think you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, I chose Lean on Me. It was hard for me to choose because, technology these days, you have like 3 billion songs to choose from. But like I was saying earlier, if I didn't relate to the sound of the song, or if it didn't catch my interest right away, then I would just move on to the next song. And then if it caught my interest, then I'd listen a little bit longer. And then I'd kind of look up the lyrics. Yeah, I relate. No, I don't relate. And then move on. Um, I guess I don't have the range problem, I guess, that some people might have. Um, so that part wasn't hard, but just the feeling, you have to get into the emotion, and Lean on Me struck a chord. I chose a different song, and then I went with Lean on Me because it was more real for me than the other one that I chose.
Awesome. I love that song. I think that's a great choice.
Thank you.
Alma, did you choose a song?
Um, just like what I said, the song of Jennifer Holiday. I am changing. Yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. But the hardest part of choosing a song for me is picking a song that will make me shine on stage. And I ultimately choose songs that is definitely within my voice range, but still will showcase my strength as a vocalist. And hopefully, the audience will like it. And I want to pick also a song that I could play the role of the character of the story in that song, and something that I could kill and give justice that it needs to have a great performance.
Absolutely. Miriam, did you choose a song?
Constantly. I have like a list of songs that I just remember and then put it on my list and just go after them one by one. I just feel like something that I do that has been working out is I go on Spotify and listen to my favorite artists and then go to related artists section and then just like I love finding out new voices and new artists and new songs because a lot of times you kind of listen to what has been promoted to you or marketed well rather than finding out real talent. So I actually recently, I mean, not, I didn't find out, but like, there's this new artist, Leanne. She's British, and she has like the voice of butter. I mean, she's just like, she sounds like caramel. Um, so she is definitely, her songs are really into my head recently. Um, I'm also really, really into doing arrangements of older songs that were really in at some point and not so much now. There was this artist Dido that I was really into for a long time. I'm not sure if you guys remember her, but I'm actually really into doing a cover of her White Flags. It was like
Mm-hmm.
super in. 10 years ago, I think. I don't know, I was like 10 years old when that was then. But yeah.
Awesome. Bringing in some of the chat room, Miss Naomi NYC says, Star Spangled Banner, it's up and down but not very long. Brian says it's a toss-up between 98 Degrees Is My Everything, John Denver's Annie song, or a Richard Marx song, or Chasing Cars by Snow Patrol. Enlightened by Bravery says Unconditional by Katy Perry, the Candlelight Piano version. I Can Be Strong when singing, and this song is very close to her, but this song is challenging and I'd like to work on it because it's a softer way to express my feelings, something that I really need to work on. Brian adds, but like he said, but like what she just said, something that I can pull. My everything is that song for me, but I have to get back to the way I was. I really want to go into R&B style, and yes, Spotify is amazing, which I definitely agree with. Better than Pandora and YouTube. JB says, I chose I Look to You, which not only I can relate to so much in my life right now, but I think is good for my range, though I almost didn't do it because it's a Whitney song and no one can really compare, so it's a little intimidating, but I feel this song so strongly right now, so I'm going for it. That's awesome. Johnny Gerald says, I can't decide whether to choose something jazz, which I'm comfortable with, or to challenge myself by choosing a song I can't sing. And Brian kind of agrees, wanting to test himself. Enlightened by Bravery likes the idea, like you, Brian. I also like going back to old songs and doing covers, old like 50s. And then Johnny has an interesting question about choosing a song that we're comfortable with or a song that we're not good singing at but would like to be. And that's a really good question. I think for the purposes of the class intensive, you should choose a song that's kind of like dynamic, that you can see you using with a lot of different kind of like emotions and different textures and simplifying it and then adding runs to it. So definitely a song that gives you a good point to work off of and be inspired by, and hopefully a song that you don't get sick of. But either one, if you feel like you know a song really well, but you want to change it up, choose that. If you have a song that you think is challenging and that you think you'll improve by working with that song, choose that. I know it's kind of a hard thing, like what you said, Brian. There's like 3 billion songs out there. I don't know if that's the right number, but it feels accurate. Um, yeah.
Something that I do that has helped me a lot with singing is kind of categorizing songs based on level and using them to get better at singing. And the way I would practice that way is to, okay, I really the song and I feel like it's kind of in my level, but a little bit above to the point that I can push myself and learn from the song, practice it, and then hop to that level. And then after that, go to another song that's a little bit harder than that song, you know? That way you kind of
Hmm.
keep getting better and better in your singing. And the way I would practice that is trying well if you're I don't know if you're a guy and practicing with a female vocalist. I like to choose female vocalists that have the sound texture that I want to have, and then practice with them and try to sound exactly like them to the point that I can record it and feel like, okay, I totally got what you're doing, how you're sounding, what you're doing with your tongue, with your throat right now. And then when I sound exactly like them, I can feel like, okay, I learned what you had to offer. I'm gonna go to the next person or the next song that you have, and that way you can kind of look at it as more of a song lesson that, rather than just something for your heart. A lot of times like you can pick a song that maybe you don't connect to that much, but it could be a really good learning experience.
Absolutely, that's great advice. And Brian says that he has a secret for helping choose the right song, and it's to meditate and try that while listening to the song so you can feel it and see if you can unlock that inner power that can pull it out. That's great advice. So we only have a couple minutes left, but I do want to get to part of the assignment of singing from different parts of your body. So you were tasked with singing from your abs, your throat, and your face, and how that changed the sound of the song, and if it made you kind of feel different, or if simplifying it too, if simplifying it made you feel more or less emotional about the song. So if any of you did that with your song or have tried that before, can you just share how it changes it?
Yeah, I mean, it just gives it a different tone. Um, and it well if you're singing about love and being like I don't know super soft and fuzzy and all that and then you do chest voice growly, it just doesn't really fit. So I feel like different parts of your body, they have kind of like a different sound, different tone that you can use. Usually I have it in my mind, okay, that when I sing from this section of my body, more my face and my nasal cavity more than my throat, it's more on the softer, more fuzzy sounding, more jazzy sounding. When I'm anything below this, it's more rock and more growly. So yeah, I kind of divided it that way. But I feel like the way you could choose what tone to use is just really look at the music and also test yourself to see how you sound in different different parts of your body, because there are times that you can be really good in your falsetto but not really that good in your chest voice, or your nasal cavity might need some work. So it depends on also what you have practiced before.
Absolutely. Alma, do you ever run into students that um, always sing for maybe their face and you keep telling them to use their gut? And what are some tricks for singing more from the right part of your body?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I definitely encountered some students like that. But in singing, I always um, tell them that there is a triangle of voice that, and it's the placement of voice, but the power should always coming from the diaphragm, and the placement is like the lower register, the upper register and chest register, the throat, and then the nasal, and the face, of course, and then the head tone, when the head when you're doing head tones. But yeah, as you go along, going up and up, the power still never change, just the placement.
Mm-hmm.
So I keep on reminding them that.
Awesome.
But it depends. You can apply that in different types of song, just like what Mariam said. If you're singing a love song, of course, it's more of like the facey voice, and within the throat. Unless you go higher, then you'll produce a sound that will be coming from the head, which is the head tone or whistle, just like what Mariah Carey is always doing.
Oh, yeah.
I tried to learn how to whistle and I lose my voice, so I was like, oh no, that's not for me yet. but yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the input. We have a couple more comments in the chat room, and we're just about out of time. So Johnny Gerald says, I think I'll choose Ride by 21 Pilots because it's got high notes, harmonies, and his worst fear, which is trying to sound pop. And singing show tunes all the time, you get used to using your bravado all the time. I find it hard to simply sing a straight note. And Miss Naomi NYC says, it changes the tone. It also changes the feeling. Your core makes it emotional. Which is great. We're just about out of time, so thank you guys for being wonderful co-hosts. I think Miriam accidentally hung up or something, but for everyone watching, this YouTube video will be saved so you can come look at it, and same with the chat room, same links and everything like that. If you have any feedback on this, please let me know. You can message me on Facebook, and I'll be posting the links for these soon. But thank you guys so much for chatting, and expect another email from me this Sunday about this next week at the class intensive. So thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.